Hello, Reds. Welcome back to another episode of Liverpool Latest. Thank you for joining me today. I am your host, Matt. Let's get right to it, shall we? I got a couple of things to talk about on today's episode, including Slot's press conference post-gala, some injury news, some transfer news in regards to a bid that was rejected of ours, and last but not least, I will be readdressing the Richard Hughes Saudi rumors, which have only intensified a little bit due to some confirmation from Fabrizio Romano. Let's get right into Slot's thoughts first, shall we? I think we can all agree from an emotional point of view that this was one of the most perfect, quote unquote, games we could have played against Galatasaray. And it wasn't even just emotional, too. Like, yes, everything clicked. The attack clicked in a way that it hasn't really all season. Yes, Slot seemed to be a lot more passionate and animated about what was going on the field as opposed to standing there like a fucking dumbass all day. Statistically, the data also backs this claim. We had 5 expected goals created versus 0.18 conceded. So in other words, Gala never really had a shot based on statistics alone. They had some, maybe 1 or 2 opportunities, but it was few and far between compared to the absolute onslaught we were delivering all match, which basically, was the ideal version of slot ball in the sense where it was very high intensity. We had very solid defensive stability. We had control of the ball. And most importantly, we had relentless chance creations, which is the first time I can say that in quite some time over the course of the season. And part of that was the tactical takeaway of Mohamed Salah, who had a very big shift in his production in this match, having 2 assists, 1 goal being his 50th Champions League goal of his career. Not only that, he was a little bit closer to the goal as opposed to carrying the ball in through the wing, and he was definitely playing a little bit more infield, which certainly helped in regards to how the defense was defending him and how he would create chances or get assists based off those chances from the second ball opportunities that they were getting. So that was a big deal. That was a big deal. And it goes to show that Mo never really lost what we know him to be. But at the same time, the performances that we have got from him this season, yes, we expect more, but at the same time, outside factors have also played a role in this, and I don't want to harp too much about it because I think I did a pretty solid job of that in the last episode, so go back and listen to it there. But I just think that while Mo hasn't been the best this season, I think this is, in my opinion, his probably best overall performance of the season across all competition so far. Let's also play into account the Anfield factor. This was probably the most animated Anfield has sounded in quite some time. The crowd was raucous. The goal cheering was loud. Fans were definitely passionate. It wasn't an absolute slog of a match that just left the crowds more or less mute for the most part. So I think that also has to play a factor, that the Anfield atmosphere, while maybe it has gone down in previous years, certainly was not going down in the previous match we had against Gala, where we won and moved on to the next round of the Champions League. Most importantly, it also goes to show that we were overcoming some system instability considering all of the injuries we have accumulated over the course of the season. So, which could have also played a factor into our lack of consistency and the fact that Slot basically had to do a tactical reset every other match. But as I had mentioned previously, if he just kind of sticks similarly to what he was doing against Gala, perhaps it can translate just a teensy bit to other matches for the rest of the season going forward. And that to me is the difference between what's going to happen for us in the Premier League and our push to try and get to the Champions League qualification spots, and of course what will happen in the FA Cup and the Champions League from there this season currently. That said, here's the problem. And Slot was very honest about this, and I somewhat disagree with him on. This is not a sustainable game, or not a sustainable way of playing the game. And he says that the unreal expected goal numbers are rare, the opponent differences, as well as the fatigue from a 2-day turnaround, which will be taking place very soon against Brighton, and the injuries as well. Here's where I disagree. I don't expect us to win every single game. I don't expect us to be on our best performances every single game. This season has been very clear of that. That said, I think the idea of not having this particular form and this particular system that we have somehow found some success with, the fact that he doesn't think it's very sustainable is very questionable, in my opinion, because there were some things tactically that he was doing in this match, particularly, that he has not been doing in other matches across all competitions, and that's why we are in the position we are in right now. Not to mention, it just seemed like everybody was playing the position that they needed to be in, and everybody was playing the way that we needed. Yes, is Gala a relatively inferior, quote-unquote, team to us? Yes. But the fact of the matter is they gave us runs for our money multiple times before this match, and they were no slouches, and they were a threat that needed to be dealt with in some way, and we were able to deal with that threat. Now, how do we take that momentum and go to the next match after that against Brighton? I think the whole 2-day turnaround thing is we've been playing consistent football for the better part of since the season started, between all competitions from the FA Cup to some of the rounds of the Carabao Cup to the Premier League to the Champions League. We have been playing consistent football all season. There is not necessarily any excuse you can give me right now that the team is relatively fatigued. I'm sure they're tired, but at the same time, they have to use that momentum now going in, and they have to use those tactics going into future matches. And I think that is where it's going to set us apart from other going forward, in my honest opinion. So, as we continue onwards here, we have some rough news on the academy side of things. Joshua Abe has been confirmed to have successful surgery after a serious leg injury sustained while he was on England U16 duty. So he shared an update and a photo of him in a hospital bed, I guess, after the surgery. He said, "Surgery done, hard work starts now." And clearly this injury has ruled him out for the rest of the season, given of how late in the season it actually is. Not to mention, it is a lower leg injury, so it's probably going to take a longer period of time for him to recuperate from such a surgery that he had. What scares me, personally speaking, is the fact that he is 15 years old and already sustaining an injury of this magnitude. I know injuries come with the territory of sports. I am no slouch to this. Not that I've ever really played many sports since middle school, but I did sustain a bit of a few injuries in my own right, in like gym and any sort of PE activities. So I know what it's like to have to deal with injuries for the rest of your life, because my knee still doesn't feel right ever since my senior year of high school back in 2015. So I'm a little bit concerned for him in that, because I think I don't know if he just signed this deal or something, or he was like, there was some news I talked about recently with him that was very important. And I'm not sure if it was the fact that he signed like a deal or something or whatever it was. The fact of the matter is he's clearly seen as a very important player in the youth academy and the youth teams. So the fact that he's hurt right now is very disheartening. Um, Considering he was on a pretty solid roll for himself. He was having some very good performances. So obviously he's going to need to rehab as best as he can and take his time with this recovery process. And Liverpool also and their medical team need to you know be sure to analyze how he's progressing in the coming months. So this is a bit of a rough story because of from a future point of view where it's like, is Abe going to, or is it AB? I don't know. Um, is he going to be okay in the coming years as perhaps more and more is expected of him from the club? So that is the question we ask ourselves. Moving on, we have some transfer news that has not necessarily gone our way in particular. Dario Osorio, who is a FC, oh god, I'm going to butcher this, hold on a second, Midtjylland winger. Say that 5 times fast. Apparently, Liverpool submitted a $10 million bid for him, which was rejected as being seen far too low for the value of the player. And considering that he, being Osorio, is under contract until 2030, and it's certainly strengthening his club's position on why he is. Why should they be getting more money for him as opposed to such a very horrifically low bid, or at least how they felt was horrifically low. Just a little bit of a profile on him. He is a left-footed right winger who is a very natural replacement for Mohamed Salah, considering he is also very much the same. He's a young, high upside attacking option for football clubs, and he's seen as having heavy interest from the likes of Arsenal, Bournemouth, who are apparently currently the front runners, which who the fuck wants to play for Bournemouth? I have no idea, but that's a different story for a different time. West Ham is also in there as well as Fulham. And wow, like 3 shit clubs and 1 top 6 club is very shocking. But I understand that players can't always go to the top clubs on that list. So Bournemouth, West Ham, and Fulham must be the next best options that Osorio can have at the moment. So considering that the fact that he is seen as a long-term Salah successor, obviously not an immediate solution, and will require some development time in the Premier League. I guess this is why that they bidded so low as they did, because maybe they want to see if there's some negotiation there. I don't know what the original price for him was. It doesn't give me that information here in my notes, but clearly that club, however the fuck you say it, is going to be they're going to be very stubborn considering how long they have him on contract for, and I guess how much he means to the team. So if $10 million isn't enough, I fear what they're actually asking for, or what they're expecting to get for a bid. In addition to that, there's also a bit of a left back situation that we are also monitoring as well. Alejandro Balde, who is a player on Barcelona, who they've been open to offers for. Liverpool, as far as the relevance for that go, could potentially address the lack of depth, which is now in the left field option, or the left wing option. No, excuse me, left back option. Excuse me. Considering that Andy Robertson's contract is rapidly expiring, no new deal has been discussed or released yet. So clearly, Kirkez can't be the only guy in the position. There are some people that can move into that position, but are not natural fits for it. So clearly, Liverpool would probably want to look into Balde and see what is going on, so that Kirkez can have a little bit of extra help on the left back as well. So It seems as though from the two signings I'm talking, or the two transfer rumors I'm talking about here, Osorio is definitely a long-term investment, one that Liverpool could potentially grab if they choose to. Granted, I think there are other better options out there. That said, Balde could be an opportunistic signing if the price is right as well. So, last but certainly not least, as if I haven't talked about enough transfer rumors, probably the biggest transfer rumor that has come across my notes and my stories over the past couple of days has been Richard Hughes, who has had some strong interest, allegedly, from Saudi Arabia, specifically Al Hilal, and it seems as though Fabrizio Romano confirms that he is a leading candidate for the sports director role for the club in that country. So clearly, this is going to be a very interesting development as time goes on. It completely depends on Hughes's personal decision, not necessarily Liverpool pushing him out. Clearly, Liverpool have had enough faith in him since signing him along with Slot to get the job done to some degree. I have not necessarily agreed with everything he has done, but there have also been some pretty solid signings that have come across because he has been a part of the team and is in the position he is currently in, where he is under contract until the year 2027 and is still allegedly fully committed and happy at his spot in Liverpool at this point in time. So, as far as we all know, there is no indication that Liverpool are looking to replace him in the summer, but he's not necessarily fully convinced the fan base, including myself, and I'm sure many of you watching and listening, that that he has been consistent and doing well with his role. So it seems as though Al Hilal is prepared to wait long term to secure Mr. Hughes, and as well, probably just as well similar to approach Mohamed Salah if that is a team that wants to acquire him, because there's been no secret for a while now that Saudi clubs have been looking for him. Al Hilal might be a potential candidate for that. We'll just have to see what happens. I would personally prefer if Mohamed Salah stays just a little while longer so that I can watch him play football on the field on the 29th of January. That would mean the world to me. That's all I want. As long as he doesn't leave then. That's what matters. But that is all I have to say on the matter. So the real important thing to take away here is that the interest is as serious as I would have anticipated it being. I thought it was just a rumor. I trust Romano's journalism for the most part. So the fact that he is now saying that this is very much a real thing, that Al Hilal is trying to establish some sort of connection or communication with Richard Hughes to steal him away, is, I find it to be credible, and I find it to be not surprising all at the same time, considering that the Saudi clubs have enough money to practically buy the entirety of not only the Middle East but the world at this rate, because they seem to be buying every sort of factor of entertainment known to man, from having it their own soccer league, WWE, as well as other entertainment endeavors as well. So that is my take today on Liverpool Latest. I appreciate the fact that you guys are here. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you enjoyed everything you watched or listened, please be sure to leave a like on the content. It helps me out. In addition, be sure to tell me what you think in the comment section if your platform of choice allows you to leave a comment. Last but certainly not least, and this is probably the most important of all, be sure to follow or subscribe to the show wherever you are watching or listening, and so that way we can not only grow the platform here. This has been a very as agonizing as this season has been, talking with you all about it, and having an idea of what the fan base is feeling, has made me feel a lot closer to the club. And obviously I thank FanArch every day for the opportunity. They've been very good to me. So I appreciate if you guys would continue to support, as well as other sports platforms that they have as well. So I will see you guys on the next one. So when you join the Liverpool Latest family, know that you will never walk alone, because you could be walking in Saudi Arabia, it seems, if you're Richard Hughes or Mohamed Salah. So see you guys on the next one.